Alright, welcome back to Expeditions, everybody. We got Earthy vibes here. This is the final expedition in Little Colorado. Like I said, this is really just a tutorial area, so I kind of just... I brought these two trucks out, and I guess we're just going to get this going here. So we need to take this seismic vibrator to a couple of places. You know what? Oops. Man, I cannot get used to these controls. And it's going to be really weird going back to SnowRunner. Oh my god. Oh, quick winching works really well. I know what a seismic vibrator is. Okay, so we need to go... Where? Oh, it's... I think it's just over there, so I think we can just keep going in this direction. And the only reason I think I know it's over here is because in the... Whenever you're, like, picking the expedition, it shows the map and it shows the locations. Like a little, like, yellow circle, and I believe it was over here. Yeah, we're getting closer to it, so... Simple enough. Now, I don't really know, like, because clearly we haven't, you know, cleared off all the fog, and, like, there's still a ton of question marks, so I'm not really sure, like, what all that means, but I don't know. It's definitely an interesting game, though. It's very different than SnowRunner, that's for sure. Which, I was expecting that. I knew it wasn't going to be... Really? I don't really know why I'm dragging this truck along with me, but I just am. I really do want to play SnowRunner though, like genuinely. It just, I kind of want to get this done since I started it, and I don't think it's going to take that long. I need to be consistent in recording it, and it should be completed pretty quickly. Wow, Colorado. Man, I got that, a bottle of that Coca-Cola Spice, and it's like raspberry flavored. It's interesting. Alright, so yeah, there's no contracts. Like, I don't know what all the things, I mean, I don't know. We'll just, yeah. .5 minutes. I don't know. Let's just drive around. I feel like, I don't know. I kind of feel like I just haven't done that. So let's just, you know, drive around for a bit and just, you know, kind of figure stuff out. Because I don't really understand. I don't know. There's still things about this game that I don't get. Like, I mean, this is just probably going to be a short episode, and that's fine. I'll just drive around for a few minutes, see what we can figure out. Like, that water's definitely too deep, right? Yeah. Oh, I can tell a little story about today at work. So, I had to be at work at 7 o'clock this morning for a event. One of the schools, one of the local like elementary schools in my county's school district is 90% of the children that go there are, you know, very, very low poverty. So it was like basically almost like a seminar for ways that you can help children that are, you know, abused or neglected or, you know, in severe poverty and whatever else. And I worked yesterday. It was just like an admin day. I was there by myself. There was no other techs. It was just me. And I had a lot of stuff to do, like to prepare for this event and just, you know, other things. I had prepared all the microphones for this event that I needed because I was the one running sound on this event. So I had all the microphones prepared. They were all checked. They all worked. They were all good. All batteries were good. They were, you know, everything was perfect. Microphones worked. I had some basic EQs on them. Everything was set and ready to go. Now, they wanted to run there were two presenters that wanted to run their PowerPoints from behind, or from backstage, or from on stage. And we have a wall plate panel with an HDMI port. And I just assumed it worked, and that was, you know, that's my fault. I shouldn't have assumed that it worked, but so did everyone else. So, like, it's, you know, the fact that it wasn't working was kind of a surprise. And, you know, I should have checked this yesterday. I fully am aware of that. And you know, I'm not the kind of person to make excuses. You know, it's unacceptable that I didn't check it. However, even if I did check it, it wouldn't have been able to be fixed by today, and I wouldn't have been able to fix it because the way that it's kind of confusing how it's set up, and it needs to basically be redone, and it wouldn't have been able to be done in that time frame. So, you know, it wasn't just me that missed it. Like, you know, there were other people that missed it too, and it doesn't all fall on me. Anyway, really the only one that really threw a big fit about it all was the first presenter. And, you know, she was a doctor, and obviously she's very knowledgeable in her field. She's very knowledgeable in, you know, communicating with children, and, you know, that's great. Her presentation was great, I thought. I feel like she kept trying to draw attention to the fact that, like, well, okay, here, let's go back a little bit. All right, so the HDMI on stage wasn't working. she needed to have her computer on stage. It was like a requirement. She could not do her presentation without her computer on stage. Our tech desk is too far away from the stage for like a Bluetooth like clicker to work to like advance your slides, so like that wasn't an option. But even if it was, even if the clicker did work, she still wasn't okay with that. I even offered to have her send us her PowerPoint so that I could open it on our Mac at our tech desk, have it plugged into the console so that I could play like the music or the sound effects or whatever it was that were in her slides that she needed to be able to play the sound for. She wasn't okay with that. She was like, no, that's not going to work. But anyway, so basically what we came up with, she was like, do we have anywhere that I can like AirPlay it? And I was like, well, that's a valid option, but I was like, no, personally, we don't. And one of the school board members or whatever, whoever, someone from the school, specifically this school that has the low poverty rate, was like, we have one. And he had someone run and grab it and brought it. So we set that up. So we AirPlayed her Mac from the stage all the way back to the tech desk where our HDMI is, that we can go into the projector there. And that worked. However, her sound wasn't going to work because our sound doesn't come through the HDMI that way to go through our system. So we gave her, you know, we came out of her computer from her headphone jack, aux jack, whatever, 1/8 inch jack, whatever you want to call it. And we went to a DI and then into our, you know, Rio, Dante rack, whatever. So during testing, we had audio for her slides. Everything was good. We were like, great, this works. However, the testing was like 30 seconds because this all happened within 10 minutes before the freaking presentation was even supposed to start. So I didn't have her PowerPoint beforehand. I didn't have any of this information beforehand. The only thing I knew was that she wanted to run from stage and that we were going to have to, you know, talk her into letting us do it from the desk, which we didn't think was going to be a big deal, but she proved to be extremely difficult to work with. So anyway, we got it to work. She was already at this point like acting like we were all idiots when we basically were doing everything we can to make this happen for her in a way that would be acceptable. And she just was never grateful for any of it. It was a little frustrating, but I mean, that's just kind of how this industry is sometimes, and you got to deal with it. So anyway, whenever her time for presentation came, we had to swap back to our Mac because there was a different PowerPoint we had to have up for I guess the MC, for lack of a better word. He was introducing the guest speakers and all that stuff. He was the one that was kind of like one of the head in charge of the event, blah, blah, blah. So he introduced the speaker, and then she came out, and of course she then connected to the Apple TV. Alright, my youngest is whining. He's sniffly. I believe he has allergies and whatnot, just like I have been dealing with. But anyway, so she connected to the Apple TV via AirPlay, and she did not, when we did it, it automatically defaults your audio to AirPlay as well, so her audio never got changed to her, you know, her aux output of her computer. So whenever her sound thing came up, she like made a big deal about it during her presentation, was like, oh, I guess I don't have sound guy, what are you doing? And I was just kind of like, I'm not getting a signal, like there's nothing I can do. You know, like I had the signal before we started. We switched computers, came back, there was no signal whenever she, you know, so it was just like, there wasn't anything I could do on the board. And my tech that was backstage, he eventually was able to go out and check on her computer and swap her computer to the right sound output, but it still wasn't working. I don't know, it just seemed ridiculous. There was only like 4 slides where she ever like was like, oh, the sound's not working, but like I just feel like she didn't need it. Her presentation was totally fine without it, and if she wouldn't have drawn attention to the fact that there was supposed to be sound there, no one would have known, and it would have just been an overall better presentation than pointing it out and being like, you know, people like that, it can be very frustrating because I'm in a position where I'm trying to, you know, do the best for your presentation. I don't want your presentation to look like shit. That is not my goal. My goal is for your presentation to be perfect and you not have any issues. Obviously, we were having issues. We were trying to remedy them. And she was just not being great. Sorry, I had to go check on him. Alright, so anyway, like I said, she just wasn't being very nice about it. And it was really just, in my opinion, not a big deal. Granted, she was expecting her presentation to go a certain way, and I understand that. But in this industry, shit happens. I mean, that's just kind of how it is. Now, with that being said, I don't ever make the same mistake twice, so I will never, ever, ever not check that HDMI ever again. That will always be something that's on my list of testing whenever I am preparing for an event or a show. And, you know, it's just, there's just things that, like, things that I would have done differently if, you know, we were having a repeat of that event in the near future. Which we will. They'll be back again next year. It's whatever. But anyway, you know, then the next couple presenters, they were fine. It was just a couple that was on stage, and they were just kind of having a conversation on stage. Then the lady after the little break, she was fine with us running her thing, but she misunderstood, not us, but the head guy of the event misunderstood that she would be able to use her clicker on stage, and her clicker wouldn't work either. It's just way too far for Bluetooth. So she was initially panicked, and we were like, listen, it's fine. You can just use our MacBook. We can just put your PowerPoint on here, and then you can have our MacBook on stage. We'll just AirPlay it just like we did with the First Lady, and everything will be totally fine. And she was like, okay, that's perfect. So it worked out. But then later on, I heard that she said that nothing's working here, which is crazy because literally the only thing that we were having issues with was the stage HDMI. Everything else was fine. So, like, it wasn't that nothing was working. We just had to do this workaround that seemed, you know, like it was a lot more work than it needed to be, essentially. But everything was still working. So, I don't know. Regardless, she didn't have any sound on her PowerPoint. It was just a basic PowerPoint, which, you know, is just, you know, ideal. So her presentation was done, and then the final presentation was the guy that wrote the book, A Child Called It. It's like an autobiography about his life growing up in an abusive home when he was a child, and then went into foster care and kind of became, you know, a New York Times best-selling author, blah, 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 all that. So he had a really cool thing. It was really, really sad to listen to his story. I did know about his story. I've heard of him before. It's not like it was a big surprise. I've heard of A Child Called It, like all of that. But it was definitely an interesting day, and it was a very stressful morning for me. Like I had, at one point, we even had like our local TV or our local cable company in to record it, and he needed a feed from our, you know, console. So, but like I didn't have that set up because I didn't know he was going to be there. I wasn't informed of that. And he came up to me right as we're trying to figure all this other stuff out. And the events manager was like, you need to give them some space. They're trying to work on something else. They will get you your feed. Just, you know, we need you to relax. And he wouldn't let up. He was like, I need it right now. I need to get this going. And it was just like, oh my God. So my lighting tech, I say he's a coworker. He's literally the same, he's a lead technician, but he's a lighting guy. So the lighting tech, he knows some basic sound stuff. So he was trying to work on that for me while I was trying to do on the other stuff. He at least plugged in the cable to the back of the board and the output, and then gave him power and everything. And then when I had a second, I was able to go in and route just a mix out, you know, of the 5 channels it was. But anyways, it was a ridiculous morning, and you know, it was very stressful. But I always get really stressed out whenever I run the board. It's not that I don't know how. I can run the board, and you know, I know the board actually more than I think I do. It's a confidence thing with me. I've always been that way. I've always been, you know, underconfident in my abilities and whatnot. So either way, that was my day. That was my morning. I was done at 1 o'clock. It was just a short event. 6-hour day. I work tomorrow though from 1:30 or 1 to 11:30, I think, something like that. It's just a community concert association, so it's just like a band they brought in. It's an easy thing. It's usually a quick setup, short show, quick get out. So that'll be fun. And then Friday I work 7 to 5, I think. It's another event, another like freaking corporate, like, you know, sponsored event where that's all it's been lately. Really early events, and they've just been rough. Give me the easy birthday parties and weddings, you know, where I don't have to do a whole lot. Those are the best days, because then, well, I say I don't. Excuse me. I say I don't have to do a whole lot. For the event, I wouldn't have to do a whole lot, and then I'd have time to go do other things that I would rather get done, like, you know, just organizational things, or, you know, like, there's lots of stuff we have to do in that theater to get it, you know, organized and back to the way we want it to be, because it's just not there. But anyway, that's going to do it for this episode. I know I just kind of rambled and drove around for the end, but I needed to kill some time because I didn't want to change. I wanted to keep this kind of consistent and keep the expeditions in the episodes. So this is going to do it for Little Colorado. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to, and I will catch you in the next episode. Have a good one.